to come, but we'll go through the procedural stuff first, and then we'll be here in a minute. So, the public question time will be that when it comes. Apologies for absence. We've got...
Yeah, so these have been sent out. So you've got Councillor Bailey, Councillor Green, Councillor Rostron, Councillor Wilson and Councillor Bellamy, and you've all had their reasons circulated by email. So what you need to do is to consider together the apologies and the reasons for absence and whether you approve them.
Okay. Do we approve them? Updated disclosable personal and pecuniary interest forms.
Yes,
That's ongoing, isn't it?
it is, but we're still sort of getting a few in. But the ones that you had circulated this time were from Councillors Bellamy, Dixon, Green, Holmes, Kirkby, Osborne, Rostron and Stewart. So it's just to note the receipt of those reviewed DPIs.
Okay, noted.
Yep.
Then, personal disclosable pecuniary interest in items on the agenda. So anything from that, Sarah has...
Yeah, if I just read out the reminder first, and that is, if a member has listed in written declaration as a pecuniary or other interest in organisation or body which features in the agenda, then this should be declared by the member. And secondly, if a member has a pecuniary or other interest not listed in their written declaration in an organisation or body which features in the agenda, then this should be declared. And thirdly, just to remind everyone that the onus is on individual members to make the declarations appropriately, and that failure to declare may constitute a breach of the Code of Conduct and may be reported by members of the public or other councillors to the monitoring officer.
Okay.
So something, mentioned the new guy, what about gifts? I received an unsolicited discount off some, I made a purchase in home for £30 discount, and I don't know if I should declare that or not. Like I have to do it as a ward councillor, it's over £25, but I don't know if that counts as pecuniary interest or not.
You should declare it. It's on your DPI. Any gift over £25.
I've declared it to the town hall, but I have to declare it here as well.
Yes. So you know your DPI that you submitted in February.
Yeah.
Update it and include that on it.
So, okay, I'll just send you. I'll send you an idea. Yes.
Lovely.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Okay. Sarah?
Yeah, I'm asking for dispensation in regards to item 22, which is the youth work in the Home Valley, because I'm a trustee of Cafe 100 and I've been involved in the discussions about KYA and the reporting. So I'm asking for dispensation to be part of discussion and to vote.
Before we come on to the dispensation, can I suggest that you deal with declarations of interest in the agenda for other members, and then we can look at that. Is that okay?
As part of Homely Youth, of which I'm a trustee, we pay Kirklees Youth Alliance an amount of money for Tyler's time additionally in Homely. I'm just declaring that we get no value from it, obviously we're paying them, but I'm just declaring that we do pay them.
What's your intentions in terms of the items then? Are you intending to not speak and not vote?
I will speak if I'm asked any questions, but I won't vote.
Right, thank you.
Okay. You have something to say, Jen?
I have got no pecuniary interest with anything on the agenda, but I don't believe that if you have an interest on something on the agenda that you should vote for it, because I believe that that is a conflict of interest, and I think that that's something we do all the way through. So I would appreciate if we would vote against that. Sarah could vote. If she's asked a question, she could speak, but I don't feel she should vote.
What is the ruling? I was going
Is
to
my
ask.
reasoning?
Yeah.
Yeah, part of this is about whether we should be involved in operational matters in relation to KYA. And I would like to support the position that we don't get involved in that decision. But, you know, it's up to the committee whether I get involved in voting or not. But I would be happy to be involved, like Glenn, if there are any questions to be asked where I can expand on any of the information that's come through as a result of being in attendance at the 2 meetings concerned. Okay.
So the general advice would be, you know, you can vote to let people speak and so forth. Usually, if you've got an interest declared on your DPI, whether it's a pecuniary interest or an other interest, you wouldn't vote. So what you've got to do is consider whether you think Sarah's reasoning is strong enough to go against your general procedure. And I have told Sarah, because I know I sent out with the apologies, the written dispensation, that's the word I'm looking for, the written dispensation she submitted, and although she's put on it about the fact that she wanted to vote, what she hadn't really done was put the reason. And you do need to consider the reason when you consider the dispensation.
So do you need to give us the reason?
I just have done.
The reason, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I thought this, my misunderstanding, I thought this was the point at which I had to explain the reasoning to the committee. So my mistake on that. As I say, you know, this is a matter for the whole committee to decide on. I think it's, well, obviously I think it's relevant. I really don't think it's a matter which is conflict of
Can I just
interest.
speak,
I
sorry,
don't think
before
it's
you
conflict
say
of
that,
interest,
but
but anyway.
actually the report from Tyler is from the experts, and it seems to me that the actual discussion and her decision making with her team is perfectly clear. It almost doesn't need the trustees or anyone to be involved with this. That's what I would suggest, that it's just the report from the youth worker. So, but that's,
It says consider any further actions.
yeah, it does. But
But that you've got to remember the agenda went out before we had the response from Tyler, which is why I sent that out under separate cover. And in lots of ways, what Tyler sent out answers some of the queries I thought you might raise as a committee.
I think that's what I was trying to say, that she's written a very good report, and I don't think there's anything contentious there. It's quite clear. So you may not be called upon to comment or anything.
Absolutely, but if I didn't say that I wanted to, I wouldn't be able to, would I?
Do we have to vote on? I don't know if I'm voting on. It wasn't my asking.
You've absolutely got to vote on this request about the written dispensation,
Right,
because
okay.
Sarah has asked not just to speak, but to vote. So you do have to, that is your decision.
Okay.
I personally think Sarah's in the best position to both speak and give her opinion on this, so I would definitely
But vote and vote.
I'm even ambiguous about the vote, but I certainly think she should be allowed to speak, and I don't think it'll come to much of a vote. It'll be further action rather than a agenda. But
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Joe?
The thing is that the process is that, as a rule, we ask people to either leave the room and not vote. So it's quite black and white in my view. If Sarah wants to answer questions, then that's fine, but I don't believe she should be able to vote. Because I think that if we're going to do that, then that makes it grey, and we all like a bit of grey, don't we?
Lots of things out.
okay,
Okay. So we're voting to accept the dispensation. Are we voting to accept the voting rule? Because the dispensation allows you to discuss and be in the room, but not vote generally, doesn't it?
Yes, so,
Like with me and Glenn in the Holland
but
Library.
Sarah has asked specifically to vote, and so that is, you need to consider the reason she's given and think whether or not you think that justifies going against your normal procedure.
Sorry, Tom. Yeah.
I don't like grey. I propose, I think that Sarah should be allowed to speak about the matter beforehand, and then when we consider the vote, she should leave the room and not vote on the matter. That's my proposal.
I second that.
Yeah. Who's in favour of that as a decision? I think I am as well, actually. Yeah.
That's what I
I
think.
also know.
So we're on number 6.
Item 15 is just a private session.
So, if I can just say with regards to this item, that I shared a number of documents in confidence with members due to commercial sensitivity, including documents in relation to item 262711 home for public toilets and item 262712 Parkside unit lettable space. So my advice is that the discussions and resolutions regarding these matters are heard in public session, but I'm just reminding members to be aware of the confidential nature of some of the documents that have been shared with you when referencing the information within your discussions. Of course, if it's deemed appropriate to go into private session at any point, then that can be proposed in the normal way as we move through the agenda.
Okay, are we all clear with that? I
Does
don't
that make
think
sense?
anything contentious is going to come up.
So what I'm going to suggest now, Chair, is that you bring forward item 262711, home for public toilets, because what I am going to suggest is that you suspend standing orders to allow Matt Cromack to talk through some of the plans that were sent out under confidential cover, and then if you have questions for Matt, he can answer them, but then I'm going to suggest that your discussion about this item happens after Matt has finished.
Okay.
So do you want to vote to suspend standing orders so Matt can
Okay.
speak?
Okay, are we all happy to suspend standing orders on that?
Lovely.
Yeah.
So everyone's got copies of the drawings. I've got limited number of copies, but have you got copies of your minutes then?
We've got copies.
They have copies.
Is there any-
We've got version, all right.
The minutes into my personal email address.
They're my thing to
Okay. So obviously going back a while in terms of toilets, we've the current loos are tired and they need a refurbishment, but nothing new. And they're non-compliant space standards around accessibility with hidden corners. It's basically a carved up version of the old original layout to carve up electrical space. So they're not great and they need at least a refresh, but you know, a wholesale refurbishment would do a lot for the sort of look and feel of them. So we've obviously done the roofing work so far. It's the first stage. We've got the solar panels on. The new layout, which hasn't changed now for quite a long time, and isn't and has basically looked at only the existing toilets and not looked at the lettable space at all. That's been completely separate. And basically what we did is to use the space available, taking up some of the service corridor to overcome some of the sort of like hidden nooks and crannies in there, particularly in the ladies, to improve sight lines into the toilets so there are no hidden corners when you're walking in, improve accessibility into disabled toilets. So at the moment, the disabled toilet, I think there's 3 turns you have to make to get in there. And you know, the door sort of blocks the corridor. So you know, there's underused space in the men's toilet, and so we've done that. We've brought that into the ladies, swapped them around. Not a huge amount of building work, but you know, there's drainage work in there as well. So we tried to minimise sort of things, but it still turned out to be an expensive solution. So so the layout hasn't changed, but what we did then is look at in more detail about the cost of achieving that layout. We looked at some examples of toilets done elsewhere around the country and how those were done, and built up a specification and a cost list, which you see, which kind of, you know, it is the best guess. You know, it's already sort of 6 months out of date, but you know, certainly gives an idea of the starting point. and we realised that what we'd been talking about before was kind of way below what we could, you know, what we had budgeted before. So I looked at you know, the layout hasn't changed. We looked at some images which you saw, which basically really that was looking at aesthetics, looking at how we might lift it, how we might improve it, sort of clean up the signage, add a bit of colour, that sort of thing, to just make it feel brighter. But really, the main work went into, you know, research on similar projects and the fittings used, and that's sort of where we built the cost base up. And there are similar projects around, which kind of backed up this cost plan that we had. There was one particular, and in these layouts, these examples, I don't know if you had a chance to read them, there's obviously two models for how you achieve it. There's obviously a direct employment of a builder, where, you know, traditional builder, everyone knows about that, you pay for the building afterwards. And then there's a partnering approach, where you pay, I think we'll pay at a pound. So we've looked at a few examples of that and various providers. And the last time we met was we decided the best approach then was to look at funding options for how we might achieve this going forward, rather than do, you know, a lick of paint, which is effectively what we did. In these one of the options in here, one of the sort of examples in here is, you know, a lick of paint. So it's changing tiling, changing fittings, changing cubicles, which is, you know, and still works out at about 50,000, similar scale toilets. So that's, you know, that's the level you've got, not changing the layout, not changing the space standards. So you've got all the same problems, but you've got new fittings, so it looks a bit brighter. But if you a wholesale change, it's more like sort of 30,000. So yeah, that's where we are. And last time we met was we talked about funding options in order to get some funding.
Yes.
So we also talked about the Lethal space being used as a changing places area, didn't we, as well? So and some of these, you know, some of these examples, the one in Godalming particularly, they achieved sort of, you know, quite high proportion of their winner of Loo of the Year, and they got 80% grant Department of Levelling Up Housing Communities, and that's part they included a changing places toilet. Some of these do involve a change from being a sort of a split between male and female to more individual toilets accessible. So then that sort of overcomes diversity issues, which we will still have if we carry on with the current layout. So that's not supported by the current layout, but it will be possible to do that. That was achieved by them. So it might be that the layout needs to change in order to achieve what you want to achieve and get the funding that you want to get. But you've got the space there to do it, so it's definitely possible. It's a blank canvas, really.
I think what Matt's design outlined was just how antique plumbing is. If you read John Ford's report, he's mending leaks and broken things every week.
Yeah.
Condensation,
I mean,
lack of ventilation, there's lots of things that need to be addressed.
I mean, it hasn't been, the
As
fittings
well as
haven't been
aesthetics.
changed.
Sorry?
The fittings haven't been changed, have they, since
No.
the first?
No. So that's where we're starting from, just make it a functional toilet. And also you can't have a toilet where a disabled person can't get into the disabled toilet. I mean, that's terrible. And there isn't a baby changing facility.
No.
So there's a lot of things that could be improved. And that very kindly has shown us some really good options. And then I would just add to that we're looking at funding. I've taken advice from Kurt Lees and from Aaron Taylor. And Jen and I are looking at Reaching Communities funding, which is a lottery fund which is open all year, there's no deadline. But it's actually specifically looking at things like this. And we're going to have a go at the expression of interest this week. And then they will help us, if we were successful in that, they can help us with monies up to £200,000. So we're in.
How much?
Not for this, but that lottery bid is open to requests for up to £200,000. So it'd be like one shot, we'd go there and see if we could get all the money from one place. if not, Aaron says you've got to do multiple bids, and it all gets a bit more complicated, but we're going to go for that one first and see what we can do. And there's a lot of stuff backing up the need for public toilets. I don't know whether you read in the national newspapers, people saying that loss of public toilets is endangering public health. You know, it actually stops people going out and being able to function in the community. You know, there's a lot of good reasons why we should, as a council, be promoting something which makes us look very generous and people oriented. In terms, we talk about tourism in here, in our valley, but we haven't got any public toilets. You know, you need those sorts of things. So that's my plea from that. Don't make a face, Joe. It's true.
We do have public toilets, they're there.
We dropped all the adults.
We have public toilets. We are the only public toilet in this valley.
Which is excellent.
Which is good.
Yeah. So why can't it be a better one?
This discussion when
Yeah. Anyway, that's where we are at the moment. Matt's working out the feasibility of it, and we're going to look at the funding of it. I don't know who came first, actually.
So
Rolls or
it's
Sarah.
questions to Matt, remember, because you're going to have a discussion afterwards.
So has anyone got any questions to ask specifically
I'm
about
just
it?
trying to puzzle out. We've only got one set of toilets. The reason we've only got one set of toilets is Kirklees, in their wisdom, decided to close all the other toilets.
Exactly.
With some in New Will, they've been closed for years. There was some in Jackson Bridge, they've been closed for years. I mean, there aren't many places now, wherever you go, apart from some of the places in North Yorkshire that are well visited, that have toilets. But the toilets that we've got, I can't remember how long ago it is since these were built. I should know because I opened them so long ago.
In living memory then.
Just about that.
1980s it was. The 80s.
I just, how many centres have we put out? Haven't we got to that stage yet? Are we just at the stage of studying the plans?
Correct.
Yes.
And how do we feel about these plans? And what's the costings on these plans? I mean, all this is all important for all of us to decide.
There's a rough costing.
McDonald, we have
There's a rough
all of
costing
those
there.
things in front of
You have
you.
what?
We have all of those things that you're asking about in front of
Funded
you.
there.
When they on all this.
Okay.
Well, I am asking these questions because I don't get to know them unless I ask.
Read the
It's
papers.
as simple as that.
Right. Matt's going to go in a few minutes, so has anyone got any questions that are directly aimed at Matt rather than us?
Just in terms of the numbers,
Yeah.
having just stopped a building project on my own property because the price went initially from 300 to 500k.
Yeah.
And I didn't do anything special.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of inflation going on in the building industry, I'm sure you're aware.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, there's no guarantee.
there's no guarantee.
I mean, you have to take,
So-
you have to take it out and you know and work out how.
So yes, okay. So I have been stung personally by architects' quotes, which have proved to be inappropriately very low in comparison to what actually happened over the 2 years period. I mean,
I mean,
blame
this,
central
so
government.
that's why I went to. So that's why the sheet you've got there, to your right.
Yeah.
No, sorry, to your right. That one there. So that's why I went to accessible public projects and looked at the costings on similar size schemes.
What's the partnering approach?
Well, that's so partnering. So you can either employ a contractor directly, or partnering approaches where I mean, there are companies out there who refurbish it and then they recruit the costs back through payment that you pay to use the toilet, probably pay to use the toilet. We had discussed that, but it's not an option that we thought to go down. See, they end up being paid. You have to pay to use the loo, basically.
Okay.
And they're run by a partnering company,
Right. Okay.
or managed by them.
I think well, there's an awful lot of time to recoup £130,000.
I don't know the price of a pound.
Joe and then Tom.
So my husband is a builder,
Okay.
and I built my house for less than those toilets coming in at,
Okay.
not that long ago.
Okay.
So what local building contractors have you asked for quotes, or have you just gone to an accessible company? Because like a plumber can put a toilet in, can't they, like, and if you're the architect and you designed it around the Saxon Company, surely they're going to follow your guidance as being the architect. So why are the costs so substantially large?
Well, we don't, I mean, building is expensive. I mean, that's, you know, and they're not, I mean, I've been conservative, in estimates. They are, you know, but it is expensive to build, you know, even setup costs are expensive. You know, sort of demolition's expensive. You know, I work in, you know, it's not a cheap, you know, thing to do, is it? So I've not priced every package in detail. I've looked at certain packages in terms of sanitary ware, which is expensive. You know, it's non-vandal, nice looking sanitary ware is very expensive. So that's a big cost against that. You know, and I've used other projects to sort of base those costs on, and I've gone to suppliers to base the costs on. It's not priced by a builder at the moment. We use local builders. We tended to 3 local builders for the roofing works, and they were fairly widely varying, weren't they? From I can't remember off the top of my head, but there was 10,000 between them, and we went for sort of the middle ground. Who you know, done a good job. So you know, we haven't got the detail yet, and I don't want to waste builders' time to buy the prices in case it doesn't go forward. So we haven't gone to builders to price them. It's based on kind of market research, should we say?
Tom, let's speak.
Yeah, I like the plans, the designs, the colour scheme that look quite. The current toilets that we have, I'd say that they are functional without being very inspiring, and like I say, we keep on having issues with things breaking all the time and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's important that whatever we do use for the toilets is not difficult to break. People do find it easily to break things, and also easy to clean. One of the problems we've had with the toilets this time around is that they've all gone a bit grey and a bit dirty-ish, because they're not very easy to keep clean because of the materials that we used before, so that's quite important.
So we looked at, one of the big costs was flooring. You're looking at seamless flooring.
Yeah.
That's not got any joints, so they hate cleaning floors because it never looks clean even though they've cleaned it. You know, you obviously get new doors, they're quite expensive. I mean, you can pay up to £1,000 a door. You know, so it's costly.
My question was going to actually be about the disabled toilets.
Yeah.
So I think what you've done with the space is really good, because that passage wasn't really serving much of a purpose. It was just an access from A to B.
Yeah.
And having the new access through the gents, it just makes it so much more. It saves the space, doesn't it? You can repurpose the space. You can make the bigger ladies' toilets and use the current office space, part of that, for the disabled toilets.
And then
So
the office, sorry.
Yeah.
And then there's unused space to the left, which we can use to the left of the entrance, which we can use as a store.
So there will still be the store there, but that's good then as well. So the disabled toilets, will they be within the size requirements as well for generally acceptable?
I mean, they're thereabouts. I mean, it's not, so, you know, I mean, it's a metre square, so it's not exactly compliant, but it's pretty close. I think you can only do so much as you can with the space. I think, you know, that generally it is, if you're doing the best you can and you're pretty close to it, they're very acceptable. So,
And it will be better than going around 3 corners to get to it. Okay.
Damien, did you want to say something?
Evening, Matt. Thank you. In respect of sort of longevity of this project, so if we were to invest this considerable amount of money into the project there, how long do you think that it would last? Like your terrazzo floor and your other things there. Obviously, it's currently fitted with ceramics, which currently almost lasts forever.
yeah.
It's just about longevity of obviously, because we need to see how much our investment's going to last.
Yeah, well, I mean, all the products would be chosen, you know, to be vandal resistant and durable. So, you know, and they're only going to give you a 15-year lifespan on those things, aren't they? But they generally accept.
But that would be a ballpark for sort of 15 years for that one.
Well, that's you know what they usually guarantee on products. But the terrazzo floor is like obviously it's a solid resin floor with jointness, so there's I mean it should last forever really.
It's just so we can, obviously the council needs to know when they would need to invest again,
Yeah.
rather than needing to go for funds. They could actually factor that in.
I don't think any of us would be here. I think you're right. We'll be fine.
idea. Thank you, Matt.
Can I just check? The toilets first were opened in the 1980s, as I recall. It wasn't that long after I came here. About halfway through, 1984, 85, something like that. Are we saying that the plumbing, the pipe work, has not been...
It was pretty much, a lot of it is original.
Right.
Yeah, it's in there. And it was slightly better quality put in originally than was the changes that were made in the 90s. They used all PVC. So, yeah, all the decent stuff is
Yeah.
that one.
Okay, John?
Right, I'm going to ask a question now on this. We're discussing what it's going to cost to do these toilets.
Yeah.
When we took these toilets over a few years ago from Kirklees Council, one or two of the councillors went up to look, along with the guy that actually was in charge of all the toilets in Kirklees.
Yeah.
And we had one half of those toilets was a fully automatic toilet, which was totally stainless steel. And the reason we didn't take it on at the advice of Kirklees Council was it was costing £11,500 a year to maintain it.
Right.
It's one of those where you put, I think you put about coin in and it did everything for you.
Yeah.
Right? It had got an extruded aluminium floor. There was a lot of stainless steel work on the walls, the toilets and everything else. So what we did, or what I did, I asked Kirklees if they would value the asset, which it was an asset,
Yeah.
and let us know what that asset was, which they did value the asset. And the second-hand price for an asset like that was £5,500. Now, unfortunately, for most of these people in this room don't know, all that stuff disappeared. We never saw it again. I did a lot of checking around. I rung Scrapman up and Scrapman got Billy Wells to ring about 20 up. We never actually found where that money, where that asset went. That would have been very nice if we'd had that asset now to go towards the building of this new interior or whatever. But as I said, nobody seemed to bother, and you know, it is after all public money.
Yeah.
It's a public toilet, and really it should have been looked into.
All I say is that these
It should have well have been looked into. I've been asking about it, and I asked the clerk, not Jen, the previous clerk, who shot me down in flames.
Donald, we're moving on to a brave new...
And all I say is stainless steel, so the fittings now are stainless steel, and they definitely have an air of prison about them. and it's, so the idea is to
You're going for a wee, not dinner. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, if you're going to spend money doing them up, you may as well make them look nice as well.
Yeah. Okay. Has anyone else got anything to add to Matt?
So obviously there was going to take any notice of it.
Yeah, but Donald, this gentleman doesn't know where the toilet's gone because he.
Sorry?
This gentleman doesn't know where the toilet's gone.
I'm not saying he does, I'm just quoting that I would like to know if somebody knows somewhere where it's gone. It hasn't just dematerialised.
It's gone now.
And it's worth £5,500 to this council.
Let Tom just speak now.
I was just going to say, there's actually 2 public toilets in this Home Valley as well, because there's some up in the Home Village as well. So it isn't the only ones in the Home Valley. So we mentioned it earlier. I was going to mention that before, but I forgot.
I know the rest, but they run differently.
Still public toilets.
Still
2 of them in the Home Valley.
Right.
Can I just ask, Matt, so would there be baby change in the disabled toilet?
So there's a separate baby change on the right hand side of the plan.
Yes, yes.
In where the current disabled is as well.
Right.
It's what it is here.
Yeah.
But and then there's 2 large cubicles in each of the male and females, so that you can help sort of toddlers in those. So we talked before haven't we, about you know, the move towards individual toilets, which would definitely be supported by, I think, any kind of grant funding for accessibility. Definitely comes with a negative, doesn't it, which we've found in research of other toilets, where they end up being harder to keep clean because they're individual sort of hidden away. so if you go to sort of amazing toilets in sort of Hansage, and they look, they look great in the outside, they're great inside, they're pretty, they're not kept clean. So it is a, I think it probably, so it's definitely a discussion to be had in terms of, if you can see it, and you can see that it's harder for people to sort of, do damage and sort of.
So are you suggesting, I would prefer us to have not separate ladies and gents, but to move on and have, I don't know, 4 or 5 individual cubicles.
Yeah.
But you're saying that the argument against that is... One argument against that is that they are more likely to be mistreated and vandalised.
I'm saying it's definitely a consideration to be had,
Right.
that they're, because, I suppose you go into your private space, you can get away with a bit more, can't you?
Yes.
So there's definitely consideration with that. But, I think that seems to be the way that a lot of the toilets have gone who are sort of seeking grant funding and
Tricia, I look at 3 boys. I'd like to not share when I go to a public one. It's like, I'm liking the 3 off the seat at my house, and I'm in a public toilet.
I'd like to build on that actually. I think that female space is very important. Absolutely important. I don't want young women or anyone really sort of like with menstrual problems, anything like that, having to share a space, a cleaning space with men.
No, it's not.
That's ridiculous.
I wasn't talking about sharing the space. I was having each of us having our own individual cubicle with the toilet and the wash basin. So you go into it, you lock the door, and then there's you and the
direct access toilet.
Yes. Yeah, I don't mean that we're all in together. Good God, no.
Right, Jenny. I just wanted to ask, if we did go ahead with this, how big a building project would it be? Are we talking a month, 6 months?
I think we estimated sort of 4 months.
4 months,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Okay, Sarah? Yeah, I do think there's a discussion to be had about the layout and what exactly we want to provide in terms of facilities which cover everybody's needs.
Yeah.
And that's a tricky one, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah.
And there's checks and balances and pros and cons, etc. But for my money, I go along the lines for individual cubicles, because then that is a space that anybody can use. Okay. And, sorry, I think it's as you've mentioned, it's a big tick when it comes to applying for funding.
Yes.
Okay, right,
Yeah, that's the quick. So, in theory, right, I'm looking at the plans here now. There's a big stonking wall down the middle between the ladies and the gents at the moment.
Yeah.
In theory, could that wall be removed and then to make extra cubicles around there and things like that?
None of the internal walls are low there.
Yeah, because I was thinking about the lights as well, above the roof lights, and the roof's quite funky. It looks quite funky on these pictures, how it is, isn't it? So in theory, the internal walls could be taken out to make more cubicles, and I definitely want to keep the disabled one there. But in theory, if you did take out that big wall in the middle there, you could make the disabled toilet bigger, and then you could still have more cubicles and do it that way, rather than a separate ladies and gents, couldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, what they've done elsewhere is you enter into I think with the toilet space as it is at the moment, just sort of looking at the layout without the lettable unit thrown in, I think we would struggle to have, because you basically need a central access corridor. You need to go into a space and then access off that space to get into sort of individual cubicles, unless you're accessing direct from the outside. But then, that's a bigger job in terms of planning. You have to make anything outside. So you do need, there's quite a lot of space, sort of dead space in a way, to get into those toilets.
Yeah.
So one of those toilets in here has that there. We've got quite a large vestibule area.
You know what I'm thinking?
This
whole that bit there. You think to do a big open space, and a big space is actually quite appealing, I think, for some people when you're walking somewhere where it's a bit cramped, claustrophobic and things like that. So it's just something to think about. I think these plans are great, but if we do decide to go down the other route, that means we've got options. Really?
Right. I think that's probably about as far as we can go, is just, chewing over what is
Thank you.
designed.
All right, no,
And
thank you.
also the examples, because they're all the pictures that he's put in are very modern, working models of different kinds of toilets, so that's what we can have a think about. And then we have to grant application.
Mm.
So thank you very much.
Right,
Thank you.
thank you.
You can stay, but in, you know, in the member of the if you want to.
See you later.
Thanks, it's quite kind offer.
See you later.
Thank you. All right.
Alison, sorry.
Yes.
I cannot believe that we're thinking of spending this sort of money on these toilets. We spent £40,000 on the toilets last year. There is,
We are not thinking, sorry to interrupt you, but we're not thinking to spend our money on these toilets. We're
but
going
it's
for a
still
grant
public, it's still
application.
public, it's still public.
No, we're going for a grant application.
It's still public money. And to believe that there is a need obviously for public toilets, or toilets, being known for. If there was a solution which was open from 7 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at night, there was no maintenance bill, they were always kept clean, right? And we had to pay a small amount of money to them every year. That would be if we would actually provide the service provision, but it wouldn't cost us anything, or public money. I'm talking about, for example, the Old Bridge Hotel, which is open from 7 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night. It's got disabled access. Why don't we approach them and see, why are you shaking your head?
Sorry, no, I'm just thinking that it's slightly sort of going on piece.
It's just lateral thinking. Like you could sell the asset.
No, if you
Why
have,
couldn't we?
because if you have all the bus drivers wanting to use the toilet,
Go to the Old Bridge.
hotel, are they really going to like?
I don't know, it's up to them.
No, that's why
Could
I'm
we
slightly
know?
sceptical.
Chair, can I speak?
Yes, sorry.
Tom,
Yeah, in 2015 it was when the toilets closed originally, and between the parish council taking them on from Kirklees, there was about 2 or 3 months, wasn't there, Donald, where they were closed and there was nothing toilets in them first, right? People were coming in and bus drivers were doing their business sort of a bit, still complaining because there were no toilets in the toilets. People were going and using the toilets in the Old Bridge and at the corner house and places like that, and not going and buying stuff. And they complained, they were unhappy about it. People going in there, leaving it in a state and unpleasant and not spending any money. And they didn't do that. Feel free to go talk to these businesses and approach them about this. But,
I have it in an informal way.
have you?
And what they said was that, not to management, that they already have lots of people use those toilets.
Yeah.
Okay, they appreciate their extra footfall. Okay, but that we don't need to actually own these assets. Because what we're after is provision for people, and if people are already using it to a large extent, I mean, we should approach those businesses and give them a fee and say and it says these are their premises are available. They'd appreciate the publicity, they'd appreciate the extra footfall, and we wouldn't be staring down the barrel of, well, conservatively £125,000, and I would think probably more like £200,000.
We can bear that in mind as not a suggestion,
Yeah.
but we have to vote on it. And then you want to say something?
Chair, would you mind also explaining the grants process which you are thinking of undertaking, how that would affect the council financially, and possibly what we would gain from that one there, just for clarity. The
grant that we're looking at, that we were advised to look at by Aaron Taylor, is one called Reaching Communities, which is a national lottery grant, but that lottery section is broken down into three different. So it's called that one's called
funding,
Reaching.
or is it just a national lottery? So it's not public funding then, really, is it?
It's a national lottery.
It's a charitable body, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, Rob. So we're going for one which is directed at improving amenities and public spaces. So that is the help, and that's what we're going to go for. So we were going to do the expression of interest, and then if you are accepted as a reasonable project, then the people who do that Reaching Communities Trust will help you do the next part of the grant, which I thought was quite useful. So we're going to have a go with that one. And as I said before, if that doesn't work, it's really hard work because you've got to go for little pockets of money from other charitable bodies. And Aaron Taylor in Kirklees is sending me stuff all the time out of them.
So I'm always aware of what the grant options are, and personally, I don't think that we should be spending as a parish council such a heightened amount of money on the building itself. However, if we've got the possibility of upgrading our standard facilities in the valley, and it comes from a charitable group such as the National Lottery, I can see why we'd want to do that with London, because it's going to impact upon our residents, but we get a benefit from it. So I'd encourage you to follow the grant system there, but I would offer the opposite to that there. I think we should be really cautious when we're accepting £125,000 for the building. If we were to pay for that one, then I would suggest that we try to, to do the touch-up, the sort of paint facade rather than the full building. But if we've got access to funding, and it does benefit Holland Firth, I think that's the way forward.
The other place where I've asked actually is there's a fund called Pride in Place, which is national, and Kirklees have got that, but they haven't got a plan for it yet, have they? And so that was the other place that I'd inquired. And I'd also inquired of the Home Firth Blueprint, the small town fund, but they said no, that wasn't a goer at all. They weren't going to.
Well, I do think it's a shocking amount of money, but I do realise that things cost a lot of money these days. But again, as I said, if we could get some input from an external body for that one there to assist us there, then I think we should all embrace that, really.
Well, let's just fingers crossed. We'll do our best, and we'll see how we go.
No.
Sorry,
Sarah was first.
Two things really. One, I would absolutely support the exploration of the fund that you talked about, because that's coming, it's not coming from public money, it's coming from lottery funding, which is a completely different ballgame.
It's coming from public, isn't it? It's lottery funding.
Only if folk can buy lottery tickets, and I don't buy one, so I'm not bothered what they do with money.
So that's my first point. The second is, for what it's worth, the bits of information that have come through the Home Firth Business Together group have suggested that they would be supportive of us making these facilities as good as we can make them. And what that actually means is another question, but certainly that it's a facility that will contribute to people thinking well about our town.
I think so. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, well, I'm just adding to thinking well about our town, because we are getting known as a town that has many festivals, and during those festivals times, which are very important for the businesses around here, people are using the toilets at the bridge and the pubs and all the others, and there is always a queue at our public toilets. And I think that reflects badly that we cannot service the needs of the tourists that come here. So I definitely think there's a need for those community service. It's a community service that supports businesses. So, but it's great that you're applying for grants so that we don't have to find the money, because it would be very hard to find that amount of money. So thank you for pursuing this.
Okay, right. So I think
it looks like you're not really going to consider any further motions. You've got a lot of information. You know that there are grant applications going ahead. But just to remind you that there was also the stuff about the complaint, and I don't know whether you want to do anything regarding that. I'm sort of looking for your guidance, really. I mean, and just informing you that we did have that complaint and how I answered it.
yes. Did you read Jen's answer? She apologised and wanted a bit more details actually about why this is such a state. I think you asked what time of day.
Yeah, I never got a response, so I couldn't say any more or really sort of take any investigation into it any further, because I didn't get any more information from the person.
But there's been a little trickle of those kind of complaints saying went to the loo and it wasn't very nice. So I think there is a general feeling that they're a bit seedy.
I think sometimes it depends on the person that you're following in there, because sometimes when I go in there, actually, I've been in there before and it looks really good. And then I've been in there sometimes before where it's looked not very pleasant. So like it depends on what day and how lucky you are. It's like with any public toilets. So I think at the moment, I think they're all right, and John does the best job he can do to keep them clean. They do a fantastic job of it, making them as good as they can do. But there's always, you only make them so clean if the next person who goes in leaves it in a horrific state.
When they look slightly shabby, no matter how clean you know they are, they don't look clean.
Yeah. But the look is, but like, I'm just saying that John could go in there, clean them all up and look really great, and then the next person goes in and leaves them in the right state, and then the next person goes in and sees it and reports it to Jen. So I don't take too much into that complaint.
Okay.
And like at that point there, if it's a brand spanking new toilet and someone goes in there and makes the right mess, it's all going to get the same complaint anyway.
I know. I have to say, I just came through St Pancras Station and went to the loo. Brand new, beautiful, shiny toilets, very dirty. And it's just sheer volume of numbers going through. Yeah.
Can I just say that I thought it was a good response from Jen?
Yes.
I
Yes,
did
I
say
did.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right.
So I think we're going back to item 6 now. Oh no, we're not.
No, not 6, 8.
7.
7.
The minutes of the previous meeting.
Minutes of the previous meeting. Yes.
So these minutes have been approved previously, so they are just to note, and also for you to receive ongoing information about any matters that are in the minutes.
Sorry, I've been listed off the attendance because I was definitely there.
Oh, right, that is a very good one. Right. They've already been approved.
I know, I'm sorry, I didn't notice. I noticed this time.
Have you got witnesses?
I'm in the minutes. I'm actually mentioned by name as having spoken, so I know I was there. I can prove I was there.
Right, I apologise in the your character.
Can I also add that I was going to make a comment about the £5,000 that we'd earmarked for finding funding for the toilets, which I don't think is relevant now, because we're going this alone, aren't we? We're going to have a go with this.
Right, so do you want, what you might want to do then is think about whether you're going to consider a motion to put that 5,000 back into general reserves.
Yes, I think that's what it is. Yes, I'd like to propose that the £5,000 that we were going to use to find money goes back to general reserves.
Right,
I'll second that.
Yeah,
Okay,
second that.
we all vote on that one.
Carried.
So, nothing else apart from that?
No. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to go over these matters arising that are not otherwise included in the agenda. Item 252665, fair and funky heron installation. I made contact and was informed that the installation would not be going ahead in any case, and the request was withdrawn due to insufficient time to proceed with it prior to winding up the fair and funky organisation. So that was that one. 252669, correspondence from Home First Business Together. I've not been able to secure the time to organise publicity for the locations of baby change facilities accessible to the public in Home Firth and Honley centres. So that remains an action for me as clerk, as does contacting Redback regarding ensuring that accessible baby change facilities are identified on the Make It Your Home Firth interactive map.
Sorry, John, was that one for business together? It was wound up.
Well,
It was wound up on the 1st of May.
it's all right, so I did not know that. So this action was based on that correspondence from Home First Business Together. I'm assuming as a committee, do you still want me to go ahead with the actions that arose from it?
I think it's still valid to do
Yes.
it, but
Yeah.
obviously, just Home First Business Together, they announced on the business group that there were no more.
Right.
So the business group is running as itself now without any of the
Right.
other influences.
Potentially worth us reporting back to one first forward, the same individuals, aren't they? So, are they still feeding into the business group?
Right. Okay, lovely, thank you.
Sarah, aren't you a member of that, on that Home First, or is it?
Forward.
Home First Business Together.
No, Home First
Or-
Forward. Someone was.
I'm not on Home First.
You're on it, aren't you, Sue?
But Make It Your Home Firth is a subcommittee, if you like, of Home Firth Forward.
Right, okay, thank you. Right, so, and item 252671, the request to install the folk festival sign at the toilets. I contacted the requester, I explained about the possible need for planning permission, the request was withdrawn. You might have observed that the sign was actually erected outside the side wall of the cheese shop facing onto Huddersfield Road, so that was how that concluded. And all other matters from the minutes which require further attention are included in the agenda. I'll seek some advice, Tricia, about the fact that the minutes have been approved, but actually we've just realised there's a mistake in them, and see whether that can be corrected or not.
I mean, I'm not losing any sleep over it.
Well, what we can make sure is, for example, in the record we keep of your attendance, that you are credited with having attended that meeting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right, okay.
lovely.
So, priorities for climate action activities. It's another heads up to consider what we're doing with the subsequent actions in this meeting, whether they meet these criteria. We've noted that. Budget and earmark reserves. That's really a sort of repeat of what some of us saw at the finance and management.
Yes, and you'll have seen that I did put on the agenda Deputy Clerk RFO to report further, because at that point on Tuesday we were intending Rich to come to this meeting. After the agenda was sent out and then following discussion on Wednesday, I arranged with Rich that he would not attend this meeting in terms of the most efficient use of his time. I will liaise back with him on any matters you want to raise with regards to the SPC budget, but actually when we looked at the agenda we didn't think there was much else really that Rich would need to be here for, so we were just thinking about the best use of his time. But I'm happy to take any feedback or queries back to him.
Has anyone got anything to remark on this? 'Cause I don't think I have particularly.
This is, online chair, it says to consider the merging of the MR 351 and the MR 331, so that's a consideration to make.
Yeah, yeah.
Which makes common sense.
Yeah.
I'd like to propose that we do merge those
Okay.
two EMAC reserves.
We did a seconder for that, and then vote on that. Yeah, Joe to second, and everyone approving the merger.
Thank you.
Okay. And
Well, there's no further feedback.
yeah, so maintenance contractors report.
Yeah, this is really, there's not necessarily a lot of discussion to come out of this. Obviously, all the things that John looks after come up is items in their own right later in the agenda. But I'm happy to take any feedback regarding the report back to John.
Just to say thank you to him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
did we get any further with promoting the climate action stuff we had for the chap's called Rider on the Bike?
I've not yet got further with that, but I know there's a bench that John's repaired up on Cartworth Mall, which still needs painting. So I was going to suggest to him that, because you were telling me this after the parish meeting, wasn't it?
Yes, one of our maintenance chaps rides around on an electric bicycle with his strimmer and that on there when he's doing the benches and stuff like that. And then if we are considering climate action, stuff like that one there, and the fact that we've got benches, we've got 2 hits in one go, then it might be worth putting that on the roadside.
Yeah.
So there you go, so we've got an eco biker fixing our benches now.
Excellent. I'm not using glyphosate, even though.
So I've not forgotten about it, Councillor. It will be something that we follow up.
Right. So the Home for Public Toilet Development is what we just discussed. So plans and whatnot. The lettable space, the Gartside unit.
I'm going to suggest that the information screen you consider after you've looked at the information about letting the Gartside
Yeah,
unit.
I was just going to say the same thing actually.
Yeah.
Because we're not getting very far with those, are we?
No, and you will have seen the information from Milk from the Hills in the Jam Factory Music School. Can I also just add that I've had a meeting today with Milk from the Hills, actually based in the Gartside unit. They produced their information for you before they'd actually seen the unit, and what I said to them was it would be really good if they could see the unit before this meeting. So I'm happy to report back how that meeting went. They are really keen on the unit, there is no doubt about it. They are prepared to undertake significant works at their own cost. The things which are sticking points for them is, obviously they want to maximise access to the kind of vending machines that they use. So they are looking for opening times beyond sort of 5:30, 6 o'clock, beyond the public toilets' current opening times. They've suggested in the paperwork to you 11:30 p.m. Talking to them today, kind of thinking a 9 p.m. minimum. They've explained to me how the doors work, because one of the things which was of concern to me was, okay, so how do people get access, and how can you make sure that outside of hours it's secure? So they have these doors which basically open and close automatically, and it's on a timer so that it closes at whatever time it's set for, and it stays closed. Okay, and I said, well, what happens if there's someone in there at the time it closes? And there is a button that they can push to leave, but then it closes immediately and locks again. So that's how that works, to stop there being uninvited guests, shall we say, when we don't want them. They are suppliers of milk to Longley Farm. The kind of, their basic products they want to sell through the vending machine are milk and milkshakes, but they've got a much bigger range than that. Some of the things they might end up selling would be competition for things that are already in home for ice cream, for example, but I think that will be somewhere down the line. They would probably be looking to be an outlet for Longley Farm products as well. They were, I mean, I don't know, I know I've seen the milk from the hills at Cannon Hall Farm Park and at one of the farm shops as well. So it's, you know, it's impressive kit that they're using, and they were already sort of looking at it and thinking about how they would spec out the unit so that it reflects their branding, which was quite interesting. We would have to, I mean, obviously they would want signage to publicise what they're doing, and I've explained to them that because we are a local council, we have to absolutely abide by the law. So, you know, the signage would have to meet planning specifications. So we've had a conversation about that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, and they would be very keen to be open by the summer holidays. Okay? So this is the kind of timescale we're talking about. And in fact, they are sponsoring the duck race. So I think what they would like is have some kind of open, even if they're not quite ready to go, some kind of publicity based around there on, is it 6th of July, the duck race?
Yes, it is.
So that's some of the feedback I can give you from it. I mean, you're the decision makers, all I'm doing is giving you the information.
Right, Jane.
So I've been to many Milk on the Hill outlets. They're doing it all over Yorkshire. They know what they're doing. They're a local farming family that have been farming 200 years plus. They employ lots of young local people. They've recently opened, it's not ice cream, it's gelato, so it's not ice cream. Yeah, it's Italian, I've no idea what it is. I haven't even been, but the kids went last week when I were in Greece, and they said it was very good. So, and I think it's really good. They do offer other products, like they do offer sausages and bacon from local farmers. So lots of our local farmers provide meat to down bins and meat outlets through Milk on the Hill through their vending machines. They're a really good locally supporting company, and I think that we should embrace the agricultural side of the valley and encourage them to move into the downside role.
Okay, Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, I think it sounds an impressive system. I guess my question would be was, how long would we give them a tenancy for, given that they're going to invest quite a lot of money and put their own money in refurbishing it, setting it all up. You don't necessarily say to them, oh, you can have it for a year, you know?
You'll have seen in the paperwork, what I've suggested is the length of tenancies. All I did was mirror what we've done in the past, so a 3-year tenancy in the first instance. Clearly, I think they would be looking for extending that they're seeing it as a long-term thing,
Yeah.
which will be of interest to you as a committee because you know the issues we've had with securing long-term tenants. So, and they clearly, you know, they've got expertise in what they're
So
doing.
would we be, I mean, assuming, big assumption, that we say, yes, this is the company that we want to go with, we would be able to say, we're offering you a 5-year tenancy, but with a review after 3 years,
Right,
or something like
you can
that.
put
A break.
you can put contract break in.
Okay, Ben?
I was just going to ask, how would there be any impact on this long-term lease from the proposed developments to the toilets?
Well, this is the thing, if you're going to go for this, then you're cutting out any chance of it being a change in places toilet. Not that we've necessarily got very far with that, but you are, you know, if you're committing to this, you're committing to it because they're clearly going to be investing a lot of money in it.
Yeah, sorry, Tom.
My question was about the planning permission they got for the site. So they were on about opening from ultra 11 if they want, or up to 9 o'clock. I don't know if our planning permission will allow that. I'm not sure what we've got, to be honest, and what opening hours are in place on it. And the other thing was mentioned as well was about the signs and what they do with it. I think it's in the conservation area as well, so they would have to be quite careful about that. So I'm sure you probably made them aware of that, but yeah.
It's a building that's painted itself white in the conservation area, and enforcement not done now. So.
But we're a local council and we have to stick to the law.
Harry?
We were just talking about training places. I thought that what we were going to work out was having it here.
Yes, I was just going to add that the option was to have one in the public space or one in the civic, wasn't it? And if the civic hadn't designed one in, have they? But it was discussed.
They have got an division house, but obviously that's in the future.
So it wouldn't be just, we would definitely push for it to be in here, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
If it wasn't there.
More space for it, yeah.
Just listening, it sounds like a really positive investment. It sounds like people that are professional, have done it in other places, they know what they want to do, what they want to do with the building. They must understand planning permissions and obviously conservation areas and the rest of it before they put it in there. So there's a possibility tonight we can all come to some agreement that we should encourage them to do this.
Yeah.
Because they want to be in by summertime, and if we want them by summertime, we need to move quite quickly, don't we? We don't have the luxury of many more meetings before that's up.
No, that's true, it's September.
So I propose that we approach them with a positive agreement with them to say that if you can make it work for you and you can get the right documents, then we'll potentially accept you as a tenant.
Okay. Sarah, can you just answer into that before we make a
I
motion?
want to ask about other options, whether there are any other viable requests, or is this it really?
I think you've got to consider the other requests you've had, you know, because, and I'm just reminding everyone we're in public session. So, you know, we do need to consider the other application that you've had as well, before you can go, I would say before you go to any kind of motion.
Okay. Can I, sorry, hold on, we haven't had a reply though on the other party, have we?
You've had, in the documentation I've sent out, did you not get one from Jam Factory as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
I've read it.
Oh, yeah.
The other applicant, Jam Factory, his name is there, so they're on Berry Bank,
Yes.
by the Bishop there, so they have the premises from.
It was a different use, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, they've got a full building up there by SP Designs.
This was for festival work, so slightly different. Anyway,
I've looked at it and I just think that the Milk on the Hills application is giving us things that will encourage people when they've got, you know, when they're here in the town, when they're visiting on an evening, where they've got somewhere to go, like if they're in a B&B and they're serving milk and local produce from local businesses, it brings all the businesses that are in the surrounding area, the agriculture that is the green valleys, that is the green fields, you know, and everything like that, into one space, into the home fair. You know, if they're looking at investing money, our problem has been that we've been investing the money in a building that then people have struggled to make work, consistently struggled to make work. So I think we need to really look at it and say this is an opportunity for us to get a steady income, to invest in local agriculture, to encourage the local businesses, and I second the motion that we move to approve them.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm just cautious of what Jen's advice is. I mean, I think you given the other person a fair crack of the whip, so I think
Yes.
as much as it's intangible what Damien was saying, I think we have just to be more polite and wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I think one of the things that, one of our criteria, if you like, is about community benefits. So it seems to me that the milk factory one is about a very wide community, tourism, you know, every tick, 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 tick. Whereas something that's a space for a small group of people to use is not.
It's not so good. You?
I'm just having a quick look at it, and I noticed that they say they want to start with a 1 year lease. So that's obviously a consideration given our experience of these really short term lets that we've had. And I also noticed that they're also asking for it to be accessible until 11 PM.
Right.
It's going to be noisy, isn't it? When you're having a wee. Bang, bang, bang on the drums.
I mean, I think it is fair that we consider the other one. I mean, I do absolutely agree that the milk one does sound more beneficial, but I think we have to reflect politely on this, because I think it might be for a small number of people, but it is our young people who are bringing such, you know, the music and the culture that they bring to this, to the arts events in the valley are quite important. But I do agree that I think, and I wanted to ask a question about the milk one, because one of my concerns about it is to have a food venue right next to the toilets always seems slightly unattractive, and I wondered how they were going to build it in, because you could have it facing out to the road, you know, the side of it, you know, where the window, the vent is, so that it makes it slightly separate from the toilets. If they're going to invest quite a lot of money in it, I think that would be my suggestion. I'm sure they've got more business sense than I have, though, so, you know, but I think that could be, we'd have to give approval for that, I assume, though. So, I don't know, how were they thinking of incorporating it? Is it going to be just facing out to the
Then they
front?
put like sterilised units in, everything's stainless steel, you walk in a sealed door, you know what I mean? Everything is absolutely pristine. They put them on farmyards, which are a whole lot muckier than the first public toilet.
Obviously, it would attract more business if it was facing out to the road. But, you know, that's for them to decide, you know, but I was asking if when you had this conversation with them, were they actually considering anything like that?
We talked about visibility. They were very excited by the fact that we had the see-through door, because and also that we had the window, you know, the windows in the ceiling, the telexes, because I think before they walked in, they had this they had this picture in their mind, impression that they were going to walk into pitch darkness, and it isn't. The telexes actually do work quite well to bring light in, and they were really excited by how much space there was there. And they were sort of thinking about where they would be able to have, you know, sort of spare supplies and so on. So we did look at the vent, and one of the things I said to them was if they were interested in changing that into a window, obviously they'd have to do it at their own cost.
Yeah.
And the one thing I would throw in, if we're back to talking about Milford Hills, is, you know, you're offering a very reasonable rent at the moment, because we put it down, if you remember, to 350. So if you are going to go forward with that, one of the things to commission whoever's going to, you know, work on the lease is probably to have some kind of review of the rent at some stage.
You can put a break in, can't you, to review the rent annually. So you could review the rent annually with inflation. But I don't think that would be unreasonable.
So how do we move this forward then?
Well, we've had a motion to approve and I seconded it.
You did, but we haven't considered the jam factory at that point. So I'm
Well,
just
you-
saying, let's just reset. What are we going to do? Are we going to do a motion to accept the Milk on the Hill? Are we going to do a decision about which offer we favour? Do we wait? I don't know why we're waiting.
We're not
We're
going
waiting.
to wait,
Yeah.
so, I mean, I think, you know, there are some interesting points that I could record in the minutes that you've made regarding the fact that the other organisation were asking for a 1-year lease, and you know, your concerns about noise late at night, so and the fact it's a
And the
small group of
longevity.
people.
Yeah, the longevity.
So you know, those are perfectly reasonable points that I can feed back as to why you've decided not to consider that lease, if that is so. And I would think, you know, the better thing to do would be to have a motion first, or to be able to record that actually you've decided that you're not considering that lease before you go on to look at the one you are going to consider. Does that make sense?
Okay, so shall I propose that we think Jam Factory is the less strong of the two expressions of interest in the Gartside unit?
Second that, yeah.
Okay. And that,
Right.
because of
Thank you.
what Jen's just outlined about the short-term nature of it. And then Damien's suggestion that we propose to accept the Milk on the Hill, seconded by Joe, and we vote on that.
Right, and can I suggest we need another motion then, because you want to get this moving quickly. You can't hang about till September's meeting, so you really need to delegate, perhaps to myself in the chair, formulating the lease and taking that forward.
Yeah.
John, Rosen, second.
Yeah.
I'll propose that, but Jen's, what's the point that we should delegate that to Jen and yourself as a chair, to sort out the lease agreements for that one there.
Okay.
I'd like to second that, but also say that I'd like you to consider a rent review every 18 months, offer a 5-year lease, and with a 3-year break.
Okay, that's the shape of the lease. Okay. Right,
Clever, you're a businesswoman.
Going to vote on that one?
Right, I've got all that down, thank you. Right.
Blimey, right.
And they're going to be supportive of festivals, there won't be an issue with the arts festival having accessible electricity and things, but we've got all of that.
Right, so the next part about the outside unit is Sarah's suggestion about the information screen.
So do you want me to speak to this?
I think yes. Does the decision we've just made affect?
Not at all.
Okay.
Because this is a request for an in principle agreement to explore the possibilities and pull together information that would enable us and full council to make a decision about whether this is a useful, viable, cost-effective way of communicating with our communities. So that's, I mean, it's really quite simple in some respects. That it's saying, yeah, go ahead and get together information that will enable us to make a proper decision.
It's also about the citing of it, so as well, isn't it?
But that's part of the, yeah. Because it may well be that we go to, I mean, we've got information that we collected some time ago, the Communications Engagement Group collected, from people who put these things all over the country, and about how they operate and how they're managed and what they cost to install and how they're continually managed. And it may be that they say, actually, that wall there facing outwards is absolutely useless. Well, if that's the case, end of chat.
Okay.
But it might not be.
Does anyone want to add to this discussion? I have something to add. Anybody?
So I think it's a good idea. I like the idea, but I just don't see where it fits in the picture of the toilets here. And where you would have it,
So the back of the garden, I mean,
Right,
it's an outside wall,
on the side wall there, where
outside facing,
Back.
well, there are several options.
that wall there, you're facing down.
That side wall.
On the other side wall. But that's kind of like, you'd only see that if you're in the car park or if you're in that bit there.
The one facing
And the one facing where the pub
the
is.
car park, or the one facing the road, or opposite the pub.
I just don't,
I
Yeah.
feel like putting milk on the hills in it.
I don't know how it would work where on the building, to be honest. In principle, I think it's a great idea, but I just don't see how it
But
works.
that's
out.
part of the question, I think.
If you possibly do it there, if we don't have a window on the toilets there, you can have it there. or
But this
something
is
like that.
this is part of the investigation, I think.
Yeah.
To talk to people who install these things all over the place and say, is there anywhere on this building that makes sense in terms of what you want to achieve?
The footfall and things like that. So
Can I just interrupt Harry before you speak and just say, or somewhere else in the town, because I don't think it's an
Well,
appropriate
this
place
is
in the
about
town.
our property. Yes.
Okay, sorry, Harry.
How big were you thinking? Because I
No,
don't
not.
particularly like that. I think you want truth.
I mean, that's where you pull together information
Right.
from people who say, in this situation, in these circumstances, this is what we think would work, or this is a non-starter. You know, when we did the exploration, you know, the experiment, sticking a screen in the library and then one in Kay's window and one in Laura, it's no good, it didn't work because the sunshine means you can't see the damn thing.
I'm thinking one version really suit electronic billboard.
No, I don't.
Okay, I have a suggestion, actually, quite supportive of Sarah, which is rare. Right?
Oh, sure.
So, I wonder if you could have, right, just throwing it out there,
Yeah.
wonder if you could have an electronic notice board outside the Civic, right? So it tells you what's going on the Civic, but also other information in a board that looks like a traditional notice board, but is a digital one.
I think those are part of the questions about what this thing is intended to do, as well as its location. So, I'm not at all against that sort of suggestion. We've talked about, the Civic group and talked about there being an information screen inside the Civic, but that's a different ball game altogether.
Okay.
Cost-wise, blah, 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 blah.
Right. Tom speak.
yeah, I suppose we go ahead and look into the principle of it. But
That's all I'm
with
asking
a
for.
location to be defined. So I'm just thinking about it now, like when I go into Perth on a Saturday and I park up in the Court car park and I go and walk across a little bridge, you see all that bit on the sidewall and then posters on there and stuff like that. And like even the one outside here, the next one out here, it does look a bit scruffy. And if you do a screen out there with clean advertising and things like that, you may get the attention more of people than some other ones do. So the idea of it, I'm fine with. It's just finding the right place for it, and I don't think Talks is the right place for it. But anyway, that's one for another day.
I'm not wedded to it being in one place. I just think
We should look.
Yeah.
we know that this is one of the
Yeah.
main ways, increasingly main ways, that people get information which is unmediated, and I think that's really important, by social media or whoever.
Okay. Just Rob. And
Yeah.
then Tim.
Okay. I agree with Sarah. I think making an informed decision is the right decision, and you have to get the information and then make a decision on
Yeah.
that. And you can't make a decision without the information.
We're all showing personal opinions rather than knowing the information.
Right, so one of the things I would say is it's not in your remit to think whether it's the screen's a good idea or not. That needs to go to full council. What's in your remit is, do you think, or as the custodians, if you like, of the public toilets, is that a suitable location? Are you willing to give your permission as a location? That's really what you need to.
But that would only be after we've gathered information. It's not about the decision saying it's only if we want to put it on the Gartside building, although that is the.
I think the point I'm making, Sarah, is that if this committee says, well, it might be a great idea, but it's not going here, then it's not going here. And even if it comes back as being a great idea, it would be looking at another location. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
it's for full council to think about the screens. It's,
in principle, we're asking, would you like a TV screen on the Gartside building?
No, you're asking for an in-principle agreement to explore the possibility, which is slightly different. Because that's about gathering information.
No,
About
no,
what
no, because
works.
people know what a TV screen looks like on the outside of the building. So there is a sort of informed decision, isn't there?
No.
About putting something on the outside of the building.
Yeah,
It's just
He does know how it would look.
and just to say, you sort of moved on as well, because you've now said that you're going to have the lease with Milk from the Hills, so you've got someone else you would need to talk to about before you think about using a screen.
Okay, Hugh?
So if we need to make a decision here, so could we not make a decision along the lines of, if full council decides that an information screen is a good idea, we would be willing in principle to consider it being placed on the Gartside unit.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, but we don't want it on the Gartside unit.
But that's the motion, so you can vote against it if you don't want it.
Yeah, but I might want the screen, but not want it on the Gartside.
Yeah, but
We're not saying anything about the screen, we're
It's only
saying
about
if
the
the
outside
full
unit.
council decides,
Yeah, can I
Nobody
make a
wants a screen.
suggestion here then?
Yeah.
That we not defer? Yeah, no, we say to full council, actually, we don't want to make a decision here, what we're asking is for full council to make a decision about whether this is something that we want to explore in wider terms on our property, rather than as it make, relating it to the
Very
Gartside.
specifically.
Would that
Okay.
help?
Yeah, so you just don't consider it in that case.
Yeah.
So I can,
That's what I was going to say.
I can bring it to full council.
You
Yeah.
can.
Fine.
Yeah.
I withdraw it then.
Thank you.
Right, so updates from the clerk on benches, which is slightly touched on already, haven't you?
Yeah, obviously John's referred to these in his report as well.
Yeah.
So I've got some things I can report back on. I contacted the requester of the new bench outside Dawson and Hall regarding reviewing that once the homework works are completed, but I've had no response. I have had contact from the landlord of the cheese shop, who had not given permission to their tenants to seek to move the bench. But we are where we are. It's been moved, so what we've agreed is that, actually, when it is convenient to us, the maintenance contractor will move that bench into storage for now, and once all the home works are completed, we can consider where it will go. Regarding the bench moved from outside Holmfirth Church without council permission, I know where it is, it's Clark.
Do you know where it is?
And where the new position has been secured, the contractor will retrieve and move it.
I quite like it where it currently is.
So they're the three updates I've got really, beyond what John said in his report.
So have we got some benches then, which need to be located somewhere, or so is it a case of us coming forward with suggestions for where we want to put these benches?
Can I suggest that they don't stay in the town centre, that they go on rural areas of the valley, when you're walking around Little Cake, or when you're walking up the cliff, or we've got bits of land that belong to the council through the land charity, can we move them to Homley Gardens, do you know what I mean?
I think we should all think about this for
I
next
put
week.
them from my own myself.
I think we've got about half a dozen either fully formed benches that we need to collect from various places, and also John's already got some in storage. There were, if you remember, the other side of the cheese shop, there were 2 benches there that we've still got in storage. It's certainly something, that the idea of having a big consideration about where these spare benches might go, that could be something that we could look at for the next meeting.
For the publication at the end of the meeting, we could ask, instead of Jen going, where's this bench? We could ask her to do, where would you like a bench? Because we have got 50 benches with no rows.
No, six benches.
Around there.
We need suggestions, how we do it.
I'm suggesting that one there. Someone told me the other day there's 2 benches missing from Wooldale. So are they being refurbished or have they been nicked?
There are, John's got I think 3 that he's taken home to do repairs on. So I've already had 2 phone calls about outlets.
When benches go missing, people look towards me.
Yeah, well,
That's because they're collecting your premises.
Replacement.
so
Suggestions about places to site new benches, a very good suggestion, and should come to the September meeting. We think there's 6.
I'll find out and I will email people about how many spare benches there are in John's garage and around the.
And I'm sorry, are we saying that you want recommendations about where to put them?
Yes.
So it could be
Like
for
at the end of my
days. You know, like, where do you want a bench instead of where is this bench?
What near Malkin now?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, it's a bit more complicated.
Yeah,
Just
there's
say
just
over
a
there.
cheese shop there to advertise where they go and shoot.
Okay, right, so that's for September. The stone shelters, really the talk is about the Hayde Edge bus shelter, which is
Yes.
having a bad time at the moment.
Yeah, as you'll be aware, so we sent out for 3 quotes. We've only got 1 quote back, and you'll know that Councillor Bailey has also been in contact with me to request that Hayde Edge residents are consulted regarding any design choices and any scope to invite interest from other local and suitably qualified contractors. I mean, the one contractor we have heard from that I've emailed out to you all regarding, I mean, that is a local contractor.
He is the man that did the roof of the toilet, so.
So, in terms of making decisions, the decision for you is whether you want to consider the application you've got or whether you want to defer that and look to get more quotes, and also to go with Councillor Bailey's idea where we do more consultation with Hayde Edge residents.
So, I have planning of building a double garage, and my Yorkshire stone roof, right, and new roof is not costing anything as much as that quote. I do think that we need to put on our communication that we are looking for a contractor to give us some quotes for the roof at Hayde Edge, because that is an amazing quote, like amazing quote, not in a good way. So, and
Seek further.
I think we definitely need to seek very good, because even the gentleman that came through earlier and said that 10 quote, you know, there was 10 grand between quotes, and there is a lot of roofing contractors who live in schools, there's 3 that live in here.
That's okay, because that's what Lawrence is suggesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll go with Lawrence's
So
suggestion.
I think
find
we do
local
need to
people
ask.
to input their skills
Yeah.
to this and the design. And I've actually made some inquiries about green roofs and had absolutely no response from any of the green roofing companies.
Because, shall I tell you why, my husband's a builder, they just leak. They are like a nightmare. Living green roofs are a nightmare.
Okay, right. Yes, Tim.
Just on that one there, I wasn't really keen on the material, the rubber roofing on there, so I think there were some more natural things to put on there, so consultation from, as Lauren said, about what materials people would like to be used on that one there. And people have a choice in that one there, and you can get involved out. So,
It'll need to be strong.
Well, I'm just thinking, are you directing me as a committee then to get back to the quote, say, thank you very much, but actually we do want to have other, you know, you're the only quote we've got so far, and we're looking for other quotes, and then
What town end are we looking for local input from Hayde Edge?
Well, and also we need 3 quotes, because it's over 5 grand.
No, you only have to
You need
seek
to
for
seek-
what
seek
you don't have to-
yeah.
If they don't reply, you can't help it.
it's better, wouldn't it, if you get a number of quotes and a number of material choices and let the people decide.
Also, no design.
Yeah.
He hasn't done anything, he's just saying that's what it would cost to bend the roof.
So I could literally knock that bus stop down and rebuild it for that amount of money.
Right,
It's just factual, isn't it?
sorry,
Can I propose that we accept Lawrence's suggestion?
Yeah.
Yes.
so I'm just saying, we'll vote on that, but we're going to get Lawrence's suggestion to inquire of Hillsborough residents.
So can I ask if we're asking what the residents want on the roof, or are we asking for quotes to fix the roof?
It's gonna, one's gonna lead to the other, we're looking for
We'll
local,
ask them for what they want on the roof and then get the prices for what they want.
yeah,
That sounds
Okay.
That's just really good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, do we need to vote on that?
You
Yeah,
do.
we do.
Okay, so I'll propose that.
I'll second.
You second it. We're gonna
I'm fully agreeing with
go to
that.
the residents of Hayde Edge.
I know.
Right, all memorials.
I've got nothing really to update regarding this because I've not managed to make any headway with the application regarding Hepworth War Memorial. So what I will do is when I have finished that application, I'll email the committee so that you know.
Okay. Telephone boxes. In fact, unfortunately, one of the telephone boxes needing.
Oh, with the Lidgate?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the Hepworth Heritage phone kiosk, I have had contact now from Butcher's Arms. There's a long history about this. It's just to remind you that the Butcher's Arms had first dibs on ownership of that kiosk, but have now clarified that they don't want it. However, there are lots of other issues with this phone box because it is listed. So I still need to seek advice as to what the implications of it being a listed box would be before the council can move forward and consider whether it wants to own it. But if you remember, this is all basically come about because Hepworth, is it Residents Association?
Community Association.
Community Association are keen to have that box in the ownership of the council, and there are already people who are putting forward themselves as custodians of it, because people could think of lots of uses they can make of it in Hepworth. And it is looking in a bit of a sad state, no doubt about it.
I thought it already had books in it when I passed it last.
No.
Falston.
They're the
What did it have
fans.
stuck in it around?
Okay, right, Kevin Memorial Orchard at Sands.
Oh, hang on, can we go on to the second part of the...
Yeah.
Oh,
the
sorry.
Other heritage
Sorry, I was thinking that was a heritage phone box.
I've been approached by Tim at Cornhouse Cafe, and he's willing to work with John about the opening and closing of the Gartside Estate phone box. And also keep it, if we give him the paper, the documentation, he will keep it supplied if we want to put tourist information into that kiosk. He's also willing to work with John about the opening and closing of toilets.
Right.
And I would suggest we take him up on this kind of offer, because he lives across the road.
It's very nice, Tim. It's very community spirit.
It will take a certain amount of pressure off John. And I thanked him for his offer and told him I would come to the committee tonight.
Do you know if he's actually had any discussions with John about it?
No, not as yet.
Right.
Well, I see.
Yeah.
But he is willing to work hand in hand with John and be a key holder to open up both units.
So how do we take that? How does the liaison work then now?
I would suggest
yes to
that
this
Jen
suggestion.
probably writes to him, thanking him for his offer, and maybe get, for him to talk to John to sort of formalise how they would work together.
Does that have anything to do with John's contract in terms of the toilets?
That's a very good question, don't know. Yeah, possibly.
We leave it with Jen to have the conversation,
Yes.
to work out the whys and wherefores.
Would you not just get them together to have a chat and get Tim a key?
Yeah, no, that's what we're thinking.
Yeah.
But John's got a contract with us.
Formalised process, that's what.
there was always the intention that that would be like an information giving kiosk, but it's, you know, how we,
How do you do it?
present, how do we do it, yeah. But
There would have
John
to
will have some ideas.
Yes, there would have to be discussions to the design of the interior of one of the restaurants.
To go and have a look at the one at Woolsdale, because I think that's really well set out.
Okay, right. Kirby Memorial Orchard at Sands, I think there is no news, apart from that there's no news.
There's no news, yeah, so it is still
The
waiting
memorial
for a
plaque
decision from,
thing,
decision from
How long
Kirby.
has this been going on for?
too long.
Well,
About a decade.
Is,
Quite a
I mean,
few.
is there no way that we can expedite this? It seems benign.
Come when it comes, yeah. New Mill Close Cemetery, is there any comment on that?
Just to say, it's had its first cut of the year, and we had a very nice thank you letter from one of the church officials. To say
Okay.
thank you very much for what you're doing.
Dog waste, there's a,
Yes, I had contact from Home Pride regarding the dispenser on Holligate, and it was in a poor state, and obviously with all the other works having gone on, it's gonna be an eyesore. So I've had communication with John. We did have a spare one, so John's collected that. I don't know if he's replaced it yet, but it's going to be replaced imminently. And just to revisit an action from several meetings ago, it does remain an action for me to write to the dog waste dispenser volunteers and thank them for their efforts. So I propose to do that prior to the September meeting. And given that it's been an action for a long time now, I will email the committee when I've done it so you know it, because it's a long time between now and September.
Point of information, I've been there's been a request for waste bin down on Deanbrook Road in Leatherthorn. There's apparently several. There are several at the top of Leatherthorn near the church, two near the church. But there's not one down at the bottom. And more than one resident has said they would very much appreciate if we could have another poo bin dispenser, down there.
Can I just ask, when you buy a dog, do you not buy dog poo bags? Like, as a
They are. You do buy dog poo bags.
right. So why are we filling dog poo bag dispensers?
No, it wasn't a dispenser. It was out. They want a bin.
Oh, right. So they want instead of taking it home and putting it in there. No,
and that's great, I think, Rob, that this is Kurt Lee's.
Is it?
Yes.
It is.
It is.
Yeah, we
Right.
don't do bins.
We don't do bins. All right. I shall take
I
it.
thought you were about dog poo bag dispensers.
No.
I was
It's the actual bin
I'm
itself.
against them anyway because I think people should buy dog food and dog poo bags. It's like,
It's a process.
yeah.
Right, okay, so you're okay with that. Maintenance contract.
So, so there are now the existing contract for John and Alison that's been extended to the end of December 2026, and the plan is to get the tender resolved by the end of this council's life, April 2027. Hopefully earlier, hopefully by the end of this year, but that's where we're up to at the moment. Not been able to progress it any further than that.
Okay. Partnership projects and reports from working groups. So, Councillor Whitelaw has put in a statement about the Park and Ride project, which is...
Just basically to say that there's an ongoing conversation with the directors of the attested markets about whether they would like to pursue possibly facilitating a park and ride in some way. Yes, I know.
Very concrete.
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch this space.
Okay. Lawrence has sent a statement about tourism, and he's concentrating mostly on Heritage Week. But Tour de France is coming in 2027, so there's lots of things to think about. Facebook information boards. The information board thing is quite interesting, isn't it? Because we're looking at sort of like on the toilets having an information board that's a bit more efficient, what it puts on. But they're thinking to use them for Heritage Trail, aren't they, as well? QR codes and whatnot. So looking for meaningful engagement, the council's already published tourism strategy. But I don't think there are any actions arising from that, are there? It's just a statement of intent, what they're up to. Yeah. Youth work in the Home Valley, a really good report from Tyler. And the additional information about whether people with special needs up to the age of 25 can be included in youth programmes. Her decision was that they should just be included in the youth programmes for the Phoenix, where the age group's slightly older, and it's not appropriate for the other two meeting places where the age group starts at year 7. So,
You'll have seen that the whole issue came about because one of the KYA meetings, it was you know, brought up to seek feedback from us about extending that provision for young adults with SEND at other parts of the provision. But in fact, what Tyler sent to us later answered her own question in that it sort of got resolved after the agenda had gone out. And you know, but I thought.
and also to ask the experts what they think, really. Not us, the youth workers. I mean, if we've got anything to add to that, then.
The only thing I would have added, but I think Tyler covered it anyways, because Honor Youth support Tyler in her working online. Our constitution says we only support young adults up to the age of 18.
Right, okay.
So if we went down that route of extending that, we wouldn't be able to supply extra money for her to do youth work because of our constitution. So I think the outcome is the sensible one.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's the same in terms of the constitution of Cafe 100 as well, in terms of age range. But she lays out quite clearly what the discussion entailed in terms of the ramifications of extending the age range, and it's a whole different ball game basically. So
yeah, but it's resolved, I think. Well, we don't have to do anything. We note, do we? Consider the feedback.
I think you know you might have some feedback for. I mean, you were never going to be sort of considering having an input into operational matters because that was clearly you know for her. But as you were asked for feedback, you might want to give some feedback on the very thorough answer she sent.
Yes. Yes.
Is it worth just thanking her for feedback on the local certificate?
Exactly.
Yeah. Lovely. Good.
Yeah.
can I just add something here? And Glenn will perhaps, I think, support me here. We are, I know it depends on what you say, that we are fortunate in the extreme that Tyler as the youth worker across the valley and working as part of KYA. She's extraordinarily professional and very, very knowledgeable. I mean, she's absolutely cracking.
Yeah.
I would concur. I would agree with that statement.
You weren't quite sure what was going, were you?
I thought of your horse, but I didn't want to commit till I read it.
Right, okay, so thank you to Tyler for that. Okay. Sustainable transport group. I can tell you that we have a very nice stylised map now of the routes, which is pretty accurate. We've been checking up all the routes and whatnot. And the job now in the next month is to actually produce that map, but also produce a folder that's got a bit more info on the back. And that's the bit that we haven't quite finished yet. But, it's a work in progress and it will be done in the next
Can I ask, are we agreeing that when they are ready to go out, we will make a bit of a splash with it? Maybe hand them out at the bus station or something.
Yes.
Saturday morning chat. I'm always making people get on that stop. and I think we should push it because it's well worth it.
Yeah.
You know, I have persuaded people to get on the stops bus and then they've agreed that this is a good thing to do.
Because they don't want to go.
It's a good thing to do.
I'd just like to mention that sports buses are famous throughout the whole of the Netherlands.
Oh, really? Oh, where is that?
if my daughter has got anything to do with it.
She keeps
Extolling their virtues
Correct.
and their lovely roots
Right, mine too.
to her friends.
Well, I think we should celebrate the fact that we have a lot of small buses going around the valley,
Absolutely.
where there are so many places where there are no buses at all.
Absolutely.
They are well placed
It does
buses.
come to Cartworth Moor, I'm just saying.
Not yet, then.
Sorry, not on the map.
Not on the map.
Not yet.
Right, okay, so that's that. I'll also report on the Community Nature Reserve project, in that we've got theoretically 20 new SWIFT boxes up in Leatherstone, although 3 of them on the small ground, and the SWIFTs have come home, they are back. I've been doing a bi-monthly newsletter, and one of the things we were looking at in the summer was to do other activities that sort of spread out the idea of nature activities. But River Home Connections, thanks to us, have kind of beaten us to it. So they've got a bat walk on the 17th of July. They've got a Flora ID session in Thunder Bridge, and they've got a butterfly walk on the 19th of July. And I'm going to promote those through our Early Nature Reserve newsletter, because they will be really good, because there's a very rare butterfly on the Old Woods. And then we're also going to go to Honley Show, as we all are, with the civic vision, but also to recruit more people to the idea of making your garden nature friendly, because that's the basic premise. And the activities that we include in the newsletters and all the bits and bobs are to make people feel part of something bigger, so that they will do something in their garden. So that's what we're doing. And that also extended to the Henfield Film Festival, saying that they would do another environmental film in September, which I thought was really nice, about badges or bats or something like that. He found some good films. He wasn't letting on what they were, but he said they were good. So that's what we're doing.
Sorry,
It's an in-joke.
Oh, it's an in-joke.
in-joke.
Right, yeah. Okay. So that's that. Chris and I will be at Honley Show, specifically doing this job of recruiting people to go.
Are you going to be there all day? Because the road to start out, Jenna sent the road to out.
And I haven't written into it
Okay,
because
but
we're going to be there all day.
3 slots, aren't there?
Right. Christmas tree provision. We have an evaluation. We're going to those Christmas trees with very nice.
Yes,
lights.
apologies, because it was resolved at your last meeting that the future evaluations will be made available via links to the website rather than included in the agenda pack. This one has been included in the pack because I've not had time to organise the uploading of it to the website, so that will be an action for me to do. The Rock-In and Royal Oak have been emailed to request the evaluation by the end of June, so I'll nudge them again. The grant application form has been amended to state that proof of insurance must be provided at the time of application for the application to be approved. The intention this year will be to honour rolling grants and deliver within the Christmas provision budget. So this may mean the amount of grant made to applicants will need revision. The action to secure a new supplier and to inform the committee on the 21st of September who that is ongoing. I'm suggesting that you delegate to myself and the chair the choice of supplier, because obviously you need that to be in place by the time we get to the September meeting. And our aim would be to secure the cheapest, most local supplier who could deliver the trees, and I would suggest that we use the Scouts again to collect at the end. So those are things to consider, and also delegate to the clerk and the chair decisions regarding the Kirklees tree for Home Fir. Cost is not yet known. I was meant to look at the cost from last year and I've missed that off my notes, so I will email that out to everyone. I expect it will go up again because it's gone up for the last 3 years. I think it is.
Do we have to use the tree that do we have to use Kirklees for the tree for Home Fir? Can we not use the local tree supplier?
The issue with that is that it's Kirklees do all the risk assessment and they put it in and they light it up and so forth. And we have liaised with Homeford Christmas team and they don't want the responsibility of doing that particular tree.
Can we ask them to do the work and us source the tree from elsewhere?
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Can we source the tree from elsewhere and ask them to install it?
That's what they don't want to do.
No, not the Christmas tree team, Kirklees.
No. Well, I don't know.
I'm just asking because, like, you know, like if we got a tree from like Umbrella Christmas trees that's just got a bit of wood, she does big trees and like the local trees. And I just think if we're going to be paying a stupid amount of money for a tree from Kirklees.
We're probably have to go through Kirklees about it, because it's going to be on Kirklees land, whereas the other trees that we've got mostly are like on in pubs and things like that, so private land. So we'd have to check it all through, wouldn't we, and all that. And the Humber tree's always a bit bigger and nicer than the ones that we do for the other small ones, so it's a better tree, isn't it, a bigger tree.
Each tree will bloody massive.
Well, the other one's bigger, I bet, so.
I don't know whether it's something that's worth just making it more complicated about.
Well, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
If they're paying a lot of money for a tree, it's like a lot of money, isn't it?
Do we have any strong feelings about it? I just think Kirklees do one job and we do another, and we've still got to find the
I
Christmas
suggest we
tree.
just move on quickly, otherwise we're going to have to spend standing orders.
Right. The last
I
thing,
think we ought to do that.
Right,
the last thing is
So
working
in that case, you need to consider a motion to delegate to the clerk in chair the choice of supplier, given that we have told you the aim is to find the cheapest, most local one who can.
I propose we do that.
Right, well, the last thing is to look at the working group members and just see if there's anyone on that list who doesn't want to be on it, or anyone who wants to be on the list who isn't on it. Because we did have a quick look at this at the very beginning. What meeting was it? I can't even remember. Full council meeting.
The ones that go to full council have been looked at by full council. These are the ones that report to your committee.
Yeah.
So sustainable transport. I mean, obviously Councillor Bailey's not here, but I know he's willing to be on it.
I don't want to be on it.
Not Councillor Miles.
Councillor Morgan.
Me, yeah.
Councillor Blacker is no longer on his committee, so I don't know.
No, she hasn't been. She wasn't. No, right, okay.
Councillor Dixon.
Yeah, I don't mind being on it. I haven't been able to do much recently, but yeah.
Is there anyone not on it who would like to be on it?
Takers. So it's just the three of us.
Well, yeah, even like propensity for whittling on about stop
Yeah.
starters.
It's nearly 9 o'clock. Can we just shimmy through this really quickly?
Yeah.
Absolutely formally and say something. So Homeford Toilets, it's me and Tom and Glenn.
Yeah.
Okay?
Anyone else want to be on that?
No.
Okay.
The tendering process, I must admit, I don't want to be on that, actually. I think I got put on that because it's to do with the toilets.
I think you should be on it to chair this
But I
committee.
wasn't on that. You're right, okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Um,
And it's Lawrence, Tom, Glenn, and me.
anyone else want to be on that one?
No, thank you.
And then
This one is completed, isn't
Yeah,
it?
so that's historic. And the last one is Urban Nature Reserve, me, Chris Green and Martin Russell. Okay.
Right, you just hit 9 o'clock, but you're literally on the last one.
Items for publicity. In fact, someone made a suggestion.
Suggestion for where to put the bench. Instead of where's the bench, where would you like the bench?
And the e-bike and the swing.
Oh yes, and there was the e-bike, Strimmer.
Right.
Oh, right, so you're just choosing David's then, and not mine.
Right,
You know what I mean? Maybe you could ask two.